All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Heyne podcast. This is the Week 12, Week 13 podcast, the last one before the regular season ends. We have a lot of drama here. Not to mention drama, we have a guest speaker for the first time on the podcast. Welcome, my cousin, old Mason Mace Heyne.
Snason is what you want to call me. Yeah.
Snake Mason, as we called out in the last podcast.
I love it.
He's here in the flesh. So here to give his opinion. Took the leap of faith to join the podcast. We appreciate it.
Our first guest, our first actual guest on the Justin's podcast. Thanks for being here, Mace. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know what? This is Cloud Heyne, so I think the first guest should be the only Heyne left in the league. So makes sense to me.
Very fitting.
Yeah.
So let's get this thing started. Last week, week 12, we start off with the matchup of the week, and that was our two previous champions going head to head. Danny versus Mr. Steve Adams. The loser of this game is out. The winner still has a chance, which is why it was selected. And Danny came out on top with a very easy victory. And the number one thing here to note is that he has snapped his 0-4 record against Steve. Finally got his first win and sent him packing. So it's got to be a good feeling there for Danny.
Yeah, this one, I'm looking at the matchup here, kind of going through. This one was not, unlike last week where I feel the majority of the matchups ended very close. This matchup was not a close matchup at all. 151 to like 100. So yeah, I mean, this was a big game, and I feel like, a statement was made. And just like looking at the performances, really Danny, I mean, for the first time in a long while, I feel like Danny's team just said it. Like it was a very balanced just set of production from all of Danny's players. That he had a couple guys go off, but even the other guys just all said it. So really strong performance from Danny.
Yeah, I think too, Mahomes coming back obviously is going to help Danny a lot, but on the flip side, Steve, his team, it's just funny because someone like him, he's so reliant on Lamar Jackson. And when that guy can't play, he can barely score 100 points. So it's like, it's unbelievable. Same with Andrews. I mean, I don't think Andrews would have helped him much after watching the Ravens yesterday. But, and then there's just one thing that I need to say, though, about Steve's team. Oh. Why are you playing Cook? Like, are you high? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, he didn't do anything for Justin all year. Justin gets rid of him, and you pick him up and play him immediately, and it's a goose egg. Like, I don't know what you're expecting to happen. Yeah, Denver maybe, but, like, Denver's offense was awful. Like, their defense is still decent. Like, they didn't lose anybody. So I don't think that's the deciding factor, though. I think, even looking at it, he's projected 134, still going to lose. So, but that's all. I mean, it's just funny how teams that are reliant on a playmaker, when they don't have their playmaker, what happens to them,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so Danny in this game, he got 10 plus from all his wide receivers. Wide receiver has been his weakness for most of the season, so that's why he took care of business. But, so another thing with Steve is he drafted Joe Mixon, who I had last year, and it just seems like whoever ends up with this guy is going to be in a world of hurt. And Mixon, once again, this year he was mostly hurt. Last year he played and just didn't do anything. So I don't know. I don't know how far he's going to fall next year, but he's certainly, his stock is lowered after a couple of these seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was in there, he went off though. Like he was pretty good after the first couple of weeks. It took him a little to get warmed up, but he was like 6'12", 8, and then he dropped to 42 against Jacksonville.
Right.
And then, so
it'll be interesting where he goes next year. But you know what? For me in this game, Steve's running backs, he traded for McKissick He traded for Zeke, and then his other running back, I don't even know who the hell it is. The three of them combined for less than 10 points. The game you needed, the guys you traded for. You sold your future for now. You got rid of Hawkinson, your keeper. You got rid of Goddard for this game, and you got fucking whooped. You know what? Sit down, bitch. It's going to be a long off season, and you can take it. Not to mention, he's a Cowboys fan and gets embarrassed on Thanksgiving with Zeke that he traded for. Sold the future. I love it. Good night. Good fucking night.
Yeah, this has definitely been, I would say, the fall from grace year for Steve, without question. So yeah, that's pretty. I don't have anything else to say, guys, about that matchup. But
just proves the Yahoo nerds to have literally no idea what they're talking about. Because he was predicted number one.
That is true. And I will say, this is the first time our champion has not returned to the playoffs. So it is very easy to fall from grace, folks. And while you're living it up there, ooh, it can turn around on you. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. Next one here was RJ and Cisco. This was really the closest game of the week. It felt like that, RJ could lose this one with all the unknowns of the Steelers game. But RJ, you kept the perfect season alive.
I really thought I was done this week. This would be the week where I get the loss. I definitely did not have my best performance, and I left the door, I feel like, wide open, but I somehow was able to overcome it. I'm just kind of pulling up the matchup right here. And it was just, the Deshaun Watson performance on Thanksgiving Day, honestly, was the difference in the matchup. I made up so much ground, I feel, with his 41 points that, I put up, I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point, but I probably win the award for making the bonehead move of the week, in that I added Hinton and threw him into my wide receiver and felt like, oh my gosh, this was like my secret weapon move. And the guy puts up minus 4.78 points. And there's not much
that is such an RJ move, because year one you had Snell, who was the starting running back, and he was eligible as a tight end.
It actually wasn't Snell. It was Jalen Samuels. It was Jalen Samuels. Okay. Yeah. That move actually paid off. I kind of took advantage of the situation. I honestly thought this would be just another brilliant move from myself, and it sucked, but I was able to overcome it somehow, some way. But that Denver game was just an abysmal watch. I don't know if you guys were watching any of that game, but but
your defense, though, like, you consistently get double digits from them. Like, take away the 16 from Pittsburgh, and this is a tight ass game.
You're right. It's
so
Pittsburgh.
You don't know what's going to happen with defenses.
No.
It's just, especially against Baltimore. But
yeah, Pittsburgh's defense has just been just so consistent. I've been able to just have them get me like a ton of points each week. It's been awesome. It's been great. Whenever you can get, double digits from a defense, you'll take it. And I've been getting that and more consistently from them. And this was when the weather really was, the weather hasn't started to affect a lot of these games yet. Looking at Pittsburgh's matchup the rest of the way, though, they have a fair share of like dome games during like the inclement part of the season. So I'm kind of not looking forward to that. We just had our big pass rusher Dupree go down too. So, the Pittsburgh's defense may not necessarily be the Pittsburgh's defense kind of moving forward. So
it's a good win, man. When you had your main guy out,
Yeah.
Julio was not there in Chark. So
No, and like I said, this, I mean, in a weird way, I'm not even. I don't. These aren't must wins for me. I pretty much have everything kind of like locked up. But yet my team is still kind of like doing enough to win. I just don't want to use up all the magic now, and then end up, putting up duds in the playoff weeks. But going for that perfect season is still out there, so I'll take it.
the dud is coming, dog.
Yeah. So RJ, in 2 of the last 3 weeks, you've scored less than 130. Do you have any concerns with the upcoming playoffs and some real teams to play?
Hey, an ugly win is still a win. That's all I'm gonna say. An ugly win is a win.
So yeah, as you mentioned, the Broncos QB wide receiver, ridiculous. The guy was from the practice squad.
Yeah.
You threw him in there against a Saints defense that's been shitting on everyone lately. I mean, you're lucky to come out of a win here, man.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way in hell I would get a win with that shit.
I have nothing to say for that. I mean, I literally didn't have to win the game. So me kind of doing the move, it had like no way to backfire at all, because even if I would have lost, it wouldn't have meant anything.
You wanted the podcast story. You wanted the podcast storyline, and here we are. So you got it. You got it.
I know. And I also wasn't expecting Julio and DJ Chark to not be available, which kind of like stunk. But I thought this was going to be the move, the savior move, and it did not work at all.
Well, this basically ended Cisco's season. I mean, technically he's alive, but I'm pretty much calling him done. He's cooked. So Cisco, man, you took an auto drafted team that wasn't even yours, and you know what? You made a good push there. He made some good moves. So
yeah,
we'll see how he does next year when he's actually drafting his team. And
yes.
I'm looking forward to it, having a full draft. So good year, Cisco.
Yeah, it was a good year, Cisco. I mean, it's hard to kind of just inherit a team and kind of climb out of the cellars. So well done.
Mm-hmm.
The next game on here was Mason and Ced. So Mason, congrats on your victory. It keeps your playoff hopes alive. And you went 2-0 against Ced this year, his first time in the league, and you beat him in both your matchups. So good work.
I get it. No, I just want to I'll just talk about my my trades and like the thought process. So basically, everyone was giving me a bunch of crap for like Jonnu and everybody, and I didn't play Edmonds or Jonnu, and I traded for both of them, but those two guys were for this week. So, I was planning ahead for those. And then, when I traded for Rojo, I didn't even look at his week 13. Like I had no idea. And then like RJ and I were talking, and it was like, oh crap, sorry, dude. Like I didn't know either. And I'm like, that's fine. I need to win this week. It's like best way I can do it is like baseball analogy. Like you can't win game 7 if you never get there. So it's like, I got to win this week to play next week, for meaningful. So Rojo, all my trades like did work this past week. I got Fuller, he went off, and then of course he gets suspended. And then I get Carson back after like 5-week hiatus. That guy has a good game. Jones has 17 points. I keep Hooper in, who everyone's criticizing. I mean, he only had 9.3 points, but it was better than a goose egg from Jonnu. So like, and then Edmonds, I mean, that guy's, he had like 8 points or whatever, but he's playing the Rams this week. And I don't know if I have a choice of playing anybody else. So I might play, depending on waiver wire, but I feel like it's going to be crowded. And then, I would put Henderson in there, but that dude has just been, with the emergence of like Cam Akers, that guy's been on the downhill, but I don't want to get rid of him just in case Akers gets hurt, because Malcolm Brown isn't doing anything. But obviously, if I don't make the playoffs, then it won't really matter. So I'll probably get rid of him and just start messing around with different people. But But yeah, 2-0 versus said guys in the playoffs, and I don't even have my full, Saquon and all those guys that should be in there. Carson comes back after 4 weeks. I mean, God, that's why I lost. I didn't have any production from running backs, So
yeah. And then you have Fuller that you traded for, which was a great trade, and you traded him from the guy that you played against, and then he freaking bends him over on Thanksgiving, first game of the week. I mean, that's just epic. But now he's suspended, so what? At least you had that moment.
Said gets the last laugh on that one. So yeah, like said knew he was going to get suspended, so you just got rid of him.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. But of course, it's unbelievable. It's just how my year's been going. But I wasn't supposed to win anyway, so I'm not really mad about it. So the fact that I can even get in the playoffs is huge.
Yeah. No, I mean, the only thing I'll kind of chime in here and say about this matchup is, Mace, looking at your team, and just like you assembling a lineup for this week, you had like 3 or 4 guys here. Do I start this guy? Do I bench him? And you ended up starting the correct guys. So if you would have ended up starting, 1 or 2 of these guys instead of the other one that you started, you could have lost the game. So in terms of, you being a manager, you managed the hell out of this week. You got the win and you're still alive. Like you still, I feel like you still need help and then you still need to take care of business. But, good job. You got to tip your cap to Mace on this one. So,
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I didn't
get any production from my wide receivers either, which is not typical of those two. So, in fact, I was able to squeak it out.
Tip my cap to Mace, but we got to rip on set here a little bit. So Kyler Murray, 7 points, shoulders bothering him. He's been carrying set all season.
Yep.
Could be huge, man, because I'll tell you what, there's not many quarterbacks out there you can just plug in. Trust me, it's a fucking nightmare. So we'll see how that goes with old Kyler. And I got to talk about AJ Green, man. I didn't even realize somebody actually went and picked him up, let alone started this motherfucker who has a backup quarterback playing. This guy couldn't even catch a pass with the number 1 overall pick, throwing 68 times a game. And you take this guy and put him in your flex. Are you fucking kidding me? I love the 0. It feels so good. Somebody tried to put in a fucking, AJ Green to get that touchdown that I've been looking for all year. I just wanted 1 fucking touchdown, which happened last week, of course, right after I drop him. But nobody played him at least. You go for that. So you know what? I respect the move, trying to kick me in the balls. But you know what? The goose egg just brings a smile to my face. This is a great week for me. I lost, and there's just so much, I don't even know, vindication this week for me. So screw you, said. I hope you enjoy the L. And not to mention, you play the Browns, take a fucking goose egg against Glennon. Oh my God. You know what? The Browns, if you look at this season lately, it's like, oh my God, they've held these teams to under 20 points the last 3 weeks. Well, guess what? They've been playing in a hurricane for a month. The weather in Cleveland's been terrible. Their past defensive stats are boosted, and they go down to Florida and get absolutely worked by Glennon. So, yeah. I'm sure you're going to drop them now. That's it for me.
No, the only, and I don't want to, I don't want to dog or send bad vibes out to our guest here on the podcast, but I honestly think the thing that would have made this matchup even better was to actually see AJ Green picked up, inserted into the flex, and have him actually just go off. That might have actually been the best part of the podcast, just to recap on that. But yeah, he didn't, as a goose egg, as fitting as can be. So, and I digress.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And
Thank God.
And let's just mention that the player that I got rid of, Gordon, he shit the bed again too. So just makes the trade look even better for me. But now it doesn't, because my guy can't even play, so it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Hey, it helped you get the win though, man. You're alive.
Yeah,
You're alive.
it's true.
All right, let's
Yeah.
jump over to Roth and Zamit. This was a big game. This was a big game for playoff implications. I almost picked it as the matchup of the week, but didn't.
Yeah.
Roth goes to 3-1 against Zamit. And he almost scored 200 points here, like 199 points, which is just insane to me.
Yeah.
Roth snaps his 3-game losing streak. And I tell you what, he gets Austin Eckler back, and that guy is getting involved. So he could be an X factor for him big time.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to play Roth. I don't want to see him at all. So, I'm kind of looking at all the potential matchups here that I might face here as the 1 seed, in the semifinals. And I see his team, and I don't want anything to do with it. Tyreek Hill, was that the best non-quarterback like fantasy performance of all time? that was unbelievable. 57.90 points. Roth's team, it was just a juggernaut. And you feel bad for Zamit. Zamit put up almost 150 and he lost by 50. This was a big game. I feel like it was almost like a shoe-in for Zamit, to at least kind of guarantee a bye and, get rewarded with a bye. But now, he loses this matchup. He's been in second like all year. And now with like 1 game left in the season, Zamit's like, one play here or there to lose the bye. And it's going to be very interesting how, this next week goes. And I feel like Zamit's positioning here, is it gonna stay at 2, or is it gonna move? Is he gonna, get bounced out of, the bye slot? I'm very curious. I don't know about you guys.
You got Fulgham for Zamit, who's god awful.
What happened?
He was good. He was good, until the people got film on him. Now he's just, regular practice squad wide receiver. So the fact that he had him in there, didn't play like Ebron or Ruggs or somebody, that kills you. That's more point. I don't think Zamit's winning this game anyway with the Tyreek Hill, performance. But Fulgham, he's got to go. And then I tried actually getting Gallman from Zamit, and he's like, nah, I can't let him go, which was the right move, because that guy's been a soldier. He was like, since week 7, he's been over 13 points every week.
Yeah.
So it's just like pick up. I think Zamit was ahead of me on the waiver that week. I tried to get him, and then he. That's what happens when you make 1,000 moves a year. You're last, so you can't get who you want.
You can't get everybody.
Yeah, and then Miles Sanders for Roth. The guy goes out and trades for him, and that guy doesn't do anything, which is huge. So
yeah.
Justin's trades are looking more and more like they need to look.
Oh, I fucking did. But yeah, let me tell you, Fulgham, he was legit when there was no one else to throw to. Now they got Rager back. They got Goddard back. Now Ertz is coming back. I think he scored less than 4 points like 3 games in a row. So Zamit, you got to get him out of there. But, Zamit needs CMC back. He needs Kenny Galladay back. And I tell you what, this bye for him would be so huge because, he needs CMC back and healthy for week 15, if he gets the bye. So he really needs to get that this week. But, Zamit's playing without like his top 3 picks.
Yeah.
Right now with CMC, Kenny, and Gurley. So, he's dragging into the playoffs here. He's got to get that bye.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't have anything else to say. I think, Zamit, he just has to find a way to take care of business without his big hosses, so he can just use that bye week to just have his, go-to studs, get healthy and help him, down the, the final 2 games of the playoffs. But, he has to get there first, and it's tough. It's going to be dicey for him. So.
Right. All right, let's move into a matchup that I find personally just hilarious because we have JP and Billy here. And the key for this is Derrick Henry, right? Billy has Derrick Henry all year, just killing it. He trades him to JP, who he's going to play against him. And Billy plays the Colts defense against Henry, which gives him -5. I think that's the worst possible points you can even get for playing a defense. So congrats, Billy. And then Henry bends you over for, just getting rid of him, almost puts up 40 points and ends your season. I don't know about you, man, but the way that I went out feels way better than that. Oh my God. Can't work.
Yeah. I didn't even realize, I did not even realize at first about the Indies defense. So, I mean, that was just such a devastating turn of events. And it was just insult to injury because, I mean, Henry just single-handedly destroyed, lost Billy the matchup. And it could have been the other way around. But yeah, I mean, again, I went off on Henry last week. This guy just does not give enough credit. And JP is another team that I just do not want to face. So I don't really have anything else to say. I don't know, Mace, if you wanted to chime in on this one.
Well, Henry, I was just going to say Henry's schedule coming is, it's not like he's not going to keep going off. He's got Cleveland, Jacksonville, Detroit, and Green Bay. This guy's going to be, and they're at Green Bay, so the weather might be an issue, but at Jacksonville, that guy's going to go off. Cleveland, they're at home, so he's going to go off. And the Detroit's god awful, but so, JP's going to ride him out, which I would, but you got to look here too. He didn't have Thielen, who's been a big contributor to his team this year too. And still got good production from Godwin and Jefferson, but he's had the top wide receivers all year. So, there's a reason for that, but, the whole trading for a guy to who you're playing that week, and then the guys that he traded for played and they were terrible, like Damien Harris, like 4.7. Okay, cool. He's a keeper, but can't win next year or this year. So it's like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? But and then he was pissed. I took Scantling from him. That's why he called me Snason. And then Scantling's available and doesn't pick him up. So who's the asshole now? I dropped him. You don't pick him up. Like,
I love it.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's safe to say JP fleeced Billy, and he showed him firsthand. But I tell you what, though, JP, he's won 7 of 8. He's won 5 straight. He's on a roll. But Derek Carr went negative for him, and JP is actually the 11th ranked quarterback team. He had Dak, and he lost him. I know we've talked about it. So, you're going to need blow-ups from your position players because if your quarterback's going negative or barely throwing touchdowns against, some of these playoff teams, that could be trouble. So he's got to figure that out.
Yeah, the Derek Carr, performance. I mean, that was pretty shocking to me. I mean, Derek Carr, has quietly been super consistent this year, fantasy-wise. I mean, I don't think he's been like this super sexy kind of quarterback, but he's been pretty quietly just been saying it. And to go against Atlanta's defense and put up a negative number, I'd be very concerned about JP's team, just about the quarterback play. I know he knows it. And they're really, at this point, there's no options that you have to try to like fix that problem. So, it could make the difference between, his fate in the playoffs. We'll just have to see.
The good thing for him is he's got Adams and Henry who can go for 40 a game. So who cares?
Yep.
But the thing is, if they don't, he's screwed.
Yeah.
With the bad quarterback,
Yeah.
Yeah. If JP gets legit quarterback play, he's going to be really hard to beat. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? Go out and get Trace McSorley. You heard it here first on the podcast. He just took Lamar Jackson's job. So you got to love it. But let me say this, Billy, you had the number 1 and number 3 running back on the year. Your first 2 picks were Kamara. You kept Henry. You nailed the draft. And you are going to finish in like 11th place, man. How is that possible? Come on, man.
Yeah.
You shit
And they
the
stayed
bed.
healthy all year. Yeah.
You didn't even have a winning record with those guys, and you won't make the playoffs. Yeah, and they played like all season long. How do you not even get to the playoffs with that? That is mind-blowing. You shit the bed, man, and we're here to call that out because that's a dream scenario. That's a league-winning start, and you aren't even in the playoffs, man. Shame on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your boy Hyde went for 4.9. You know, of course he goes off against me, and then goes for less than 5. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, Billy, you can sit on that for the off season. We'll see what the top 3 pick next year. All right. The last one is myself and TJ. You know, I strongly considered changing TJ's name in my phone to T Daddy because this man has clapped my cheeks since this league started, and he fucking owns me. I cannot beat this guy. He's 4-0 against me. When I did the random schedule this year and I saw I played him twice, I was instantly pissed. My team actually did well week 1, and he still beat me. So, goddamn, sir. He beat me by 90 this week. I mean, I traded my best players, but to score over 100 and lose by 90, I mean, Jesus. Fuck you. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay because, even with those guys I traded, I would have lost. So I made the right decision. It was good to trade those guys. And you know what? I got Dallas Goedert out of it. And I tell you what he did? He was the tight end 1 this week. 20 points, first week on the fucking team. Welcome to the squad. And you know what? I have a quote here direct from the group chat from when this happened. This is how it went. I said, I think I did well, all things considered. Revenge Tour 2021. Mason goes, pains me to say this, but Steve won the trade today. Goddard is god awful. Steve, quite happy with my dealings. You know what? Get fucking owned. What you say in the chat is gonna come back on the podcast. And I tell you what, I had to do some scrolling to find it because there's been all kinds of chirping. So what do you got to say to that, Mace?
Well, Ertz is back, so we'll find out this week.
Well, I don't even care. I don't care about this week. When Ertz goes to the football team next year, I'll be sitting pretty.
Dude, if he goes there, I'm drafting him top 5 rounds. Just so I can hear all you guys complain.
Oh my God. So I just want to add to that I take the plate frame with this loss. That was a last ditch effort. I would rather lose though by 90 than like make the wrong decision and like have to think about it all season. I should have played this guy instead. You know what? Take it, TJ. Good luck, man. I'll see you guys next year. The plate frames, it'll look nice on Jenny. It's silver, just like Jenny. So it'll go well. And it's the COVID time. We're in quarantine. The car is not going to move barely. Each day is one less I have it. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. I'm done.
The only thing I'll say is I feel like for the commish to actually have to fulfill his own penalty, I figured Justin might be a little bit more upset about it, but I feel like he's just accepted it. So,
you know what? There's just some times where you just have to say it's just not my year, man. Nothing went well. Zeke underperformed. Dak got hurt. DJ Moore didn't do all that much. Fuck you, Robbie Anderson. AJ Green was a disaster. David Johnson was so mediocre. Miles Sanders was a bag of shit. That guy scored in 2 games this year, and the one game I didn't even fucking play him. So it's just it is what it is. I should have made some more moves. I probably should have been more aggressive, but nobody wanted my guys because they never really did that much. So it's hard to trade pieces like that when there's just no one came to me. No one was interested. I was struggling. I figured people would try to poach my guys earlier, and no one seemed to really care because they suck. So, fuck it, man.
I definitely thought your team, like heading into this year, was a lot stronger. I mean, this was just a weird year in general. So, you know, every year is different. Every year is different. You know, the studs one year, you know, end up being the bottom feeders the next year. And so it's every year it's like a different, it's a completely different like league. So yeah, man, I'm sure it'll be a dramatic off season, and then just, you know, you can give it another try next year.
Your only bright spot is Terry McLaurin. That guy's a consistent player for you, but you just have no QB production.
Dude, my QBs are terrible. I was 12th ranked in QB. I got Matt Ryan pretty late. I was excited about it. You know, he has great targets to throw to. The guy's always consistent. And he single-handedly lost me a few weeks early on, and that was the difference. And I've been trying to play somebody to give me some production. And the last 3 weeks, my quarterbacks have scored less than 4 points.
Yeah.
All 3 of them, which that has got to be impossible. Like that's insane. I don't have a single touchdown from my quarterback in the last 3 weeks. So I'm beside myself, man. I watch these games and I just scratch my head. I don't get it. It's brutal. I mean,
so
yeah, how does Cam not score against Arizona?
Right. Nothing.
Like you're on the 1 yard line. He sneaks the entire year, and then he's handing the ball off.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Right. It's just I
had him early in the year, and he was 25 and then 35 of the weeks I had him, and then you pick him up now and he's 1.9.
Right. How do the Patriots win that game? Is the question. How do they beat the Cardinals with that? I mean, I don't want to get into all that, but it's just you sit there and you're like, how do your team win this game? But you fucked me with a 1-point performance. Like, screw you, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I think we should just move on. I've ranted enough about that in my season.
Actually, real quick before we kind of transition into like week 13 projections. Now that it's official, even though the plate frame installation hasn't happened, Justin, can you give us any kind of feelers on who you're taking with the 1.1 next year?
I tell you what, man, it's going to be a tough decision because
you're gonna make us sweat it out. I'll
make you guys sweat it out.
Lamar, Mahomes.
Yeah, I'm going quarterback 1.1. I'm so tired of it, and I don't want Danny to get Mahomes again. He'll probably take him in the first round. So, fuck you. I'll just take him 1.1. We'll see how it goes because I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. But I'll tell you what, next year is going to be wide open. We have a lot of keepers coming back to the pool. Your DK Metcalfs, your Aaron Jones bullshit. James Conner's been a keeper for 12 years. Yep. You're done. All you fuckers are back to level 1 with me, and I can't wait coming out of the gate with my pick. I got scores to settle like you wouldn't believe, and your boy is coming.
Oh, man. I cannot wait.
Especially with Dallas Goedert in the 15th round.
And let's not forget, I got Brandon Ayuk from Roth, and he looks pretty good this year for the Niners. Who knows what they do in the offseason? I like him a lot. And, got rid of him for nothing. Sanders, piece of shit this year. Terrible this week. I'm over it. Got another guy. Let's go.
Sounds good, sir.
All right. So I you know what? The off season is longer than the season. So I'm going to be happy in the off season. So you know what? This year was a win. Fuck it.
There you go.
That's how I feel about it. All right. The team on the rise, based on last week and what's been going on, is TJ. You dropped 195. That's an eye-opener. You got Deebo Samuel, my boy. He's back. He had a great game. He's also holding on to George Kittle in the IR spot, who's available. He might be coming back. So if TJ gets in, You never know, but he is my player on the rise. He's got a 2-game win streak, and yeah, he's looking to make some moves.
Yeah, the Kittle thing, when he got hurt, everybody was just like, drop his ass. If TJ if TJ is hoping that Kittle might come back, I think he's in trouble. So, but you never know. You never know. I definitely think TJ has built kind of a lot of momentum here as of late, though, and he's at least heading into the playoffs, feeling pretty good about himself. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, TJ's holding Gronk, Kittle, and Ertz. The guy has more tight ends than a yoga class, so he should be just fine. But go ahead, Mace.
I was just gonna say, if like I said in the chat, if tendencies prove anything, I mean, DK's in for a down week. I mean, and it's good for me because I have the 2 other big producers on Seattle. But I don't know. I think TJ he's playing Steve. I'm torn on this because I want TJ to lose so I can get in if I can beat Rob or beat Justin somehow. RJ and sorry, there's only one Justin, right? Yeah. So it's RJ. If I can actually beat him, which I don't think is going to happen, but if I can, I'm torn because I want to get in, but I also don't want Steve to win. So, but the good news is Steve, he was the biggest trash talker and won last year, and now he's in the cellar. So gotta love that.
Well,
I'm
he
pretty
is
sure
eliminated.
Well, not in the cellar, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I mean, and I think I'm going to finish with a better record than him. Because if TJ beats him and I lose, I still finish above him, which is so huge. So, in my eyes, I beat Roth, and I can't finish worse than Steve. So that is so huge.
We all have our priorities, but if I were you, I'd be rooting for Steve, man, because you can still get in and make some money. But you know what? You got your own personal vendettas. That's fine.
That's funny.
Yeah, I want Steve to win this one so I can get in, but it's a win-win for me regardless.
That's nice. Our team on the decline, and then you may not be surprised based on the conversations we've been having, is Zamit. Sir, you've lost 2 straight. You're in jeopardy of losing the bye you've had all season. You've been sitting up there nice and pretty with your goddamn Josh Allen Diggs connection that you just nailed. Even you lost CMC and you still won all season. But by God, the worm is turning for you, son. You better get healthy, and you better get healthy quick because JP is right on your bitch ass.
Yeah. I mean, they have the same record at 8-4 with 1 game left, and really, the points, the point differential here is, it is basically even. You have Zamit at 1669, JP at 1646. So it's like a 20-point difference, same record. At this point, it's they each kind of control their own destiny. Who's going to put up more points this week? Whoever that is going to get the bye. That's pretty much what it's going to come down to for the most part. So, I'm nervous for you, Zamit. I am, man. I don't know what else to say or do, man. This is pretty nerve-wracking stuff.
All right, we'll move over to the games that's coming up. So we got a couple games that are battling for that bye, that 2 seed. So the matchup of the week is going to be JP and Sed. This is the only game where both teams are playing for playoff seeding. So if JP can get a bye if he wins and Zamit loses, like we talked about, or they do the same thing and he passes that 24-point differential. So, it's a very big game for JP. Even if he loses, he can still get it, but he'll just have to outscore Zamit, and Zamit will have to lose. So that'll be interesting. JP could be the 2 or 3 seed, no higher, no lower. big game. And Sed is also in the playoffs, so he could be the 4 through the 6 seed, really. So he'll be playing in the first round. He'll be playing week 14 no matter what. But yeah, this is a big game coming up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't really have much to say about this matchup here. The JP and said matchup. I mean, they're both going to be in the playoffs. I think for JP, it just like you guys said before, JP has an opportunity here to really kind of at the end of the year sneak into that number 2 slot and get a bye. So, with his quarterback situation, Justin, you had said it earlier. I think it would be crucial for JP to have like an extra week where his quarterbacks can just kind of get healthy and just his team. So yeah.
I think the difference maker is going to be if Dalvin Cook can play. Questionable, he got hurt last week. And then I think Melvin Gordon is going to go off this week. Phillip Lindsay's hurt. Kansas City defense is pretty, but I don't know. When Lindsay's been hurt, Gordon's gone off because he's getting more carries, more reps, more targets. So, and trust me, I've had him all year and I had to put up with the bullshit. So I know. So I just got fed up with it. These systems that have 2 running backs that are both it's really hard to watch, especially like Kareem Hunt. RJ and I were talking about this earlier. If that guy was RB1, he would be a maniac, but he's behind Chubb, so it's hard to get those meaningful reps and you never know what situations he's going to be in, so that's my prediction this week. It said it's going to have Gordon go off. I just don't think he's going to beat Pete. I'm just looking at his team. It's like, Adams, Jefferson, Thielen, Henry. I mean, right there, you can win with that. You don't even need anybody else.
Yeah.
And you got Cooper Kupp in your flex. I mean, that guy's pretty good. So
right.
We'll see. You never know. Sed might pick up a kicker and a defense. It's empty right now. So he might pick up those 2 difference makers.
Yeah. I really think Dalvin Cook, I think he's going to be dialed back here, moving forward. I think, this week, it's almost going to be a for sure thing. I have him in one of my other leagues and, I kind of was hoping to rely on him, for playoffs, but I just don't see it happening. Dalvin Cook could be, in my opinion, just a giant dud these next handful of weeks, is how I'm kind of reading a potential situation. I honestly would my lock of the week out of all the matchups this week is actually going to be JP winning on this one. So I don't know about you, Justin. Did you have any thoughts to say about this matchup, sir?
No, nothing more than I said. Match of the week. We'll see what happens.
Cool.
So the next one I want to get into is the other bye situation. That's Zamit and Cisco. So Zamit, you can get that bye if you win and JP loses, or if you guys do the same thing and you keep that 24-point lead. Zamit can fall to the 3 seed. It would be devastating for him, I think, because I think the winners of the last 2 seasons we had all had byes. So It's just a huge advantage to get that. Kind of sit back and you just have to win 2 instead of 3, which is huge. So big game here for these guys. And then Cisco, he's basically eliminated. So this is really, to me, just has to get the job done.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Cisco can pretty much just play spoiler. I think, with the matchup against, not really against me last week, but with this matchup, I mean, the stakes are, Cisco's team, which, is the auto drafted team, could essentially knock Z out of the 2 slot. And that, I mean, that at least Cisco, if there's anything to play for from Cisco's perspective, it's that, looking at this matchup.
Yeah. And as of right now, go ahead.
Cisco's playing 2 tight ends again. So, God, when you do that, how you're going to win, But, I mean, I'm sure if you play 2, one of them's got to hit, right? So, why not?
Yeah, I mean, Cisco's favored by 24 points in the projections right now. So
Yep.
we'll see. I think DeAndre Swift coming back could be huge for him. He's been out past couple of weeks, but big
Yeah.
game there. The next one on here is myself versus Roth. There's really nothing with this one. Roth is playing for seeding. He's going to either be the 4 or the 5 or the 6 seed. I'm locked in last place. I did beat Roth earlier this season, one of my 3 fucking wins. So to go 2-0 against him with half my wins against him would be hilarious. Just for me personally, be a great way to go out for the season. So that's really what I'm playing for, just to sweep Roth this year. And I'm sure, Mason, you would appreciate that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so huge. No, I mean, I don't know. I think Ross seems, that looks pretty good. I mean, he's been picking people up and moving pieces around all year, but I don't think you're going to get a video game from Tyreek again. I think Denver's defense is going to be, they're a little better than last week's defense, whoever he played. I can't even remember. Tampa Bay. Well, Tampa Bay is usually pretty good. Maybe that their game plan and the scheme must have been pretty good, but I just don't see that happening. But I don't know, Justin, you're going to need something magical to happen for you to pull this one out.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm playing at quarterback. David Johnson's, I think, coming back, which would be helpful, but he doesn't have a great matchup, I don't think. Actually, no, he does. You're playing – I don't know who the hell they're playing, but whatever. I need him to come back. I don't know. Hey, I've Goddard now, so maybe I have a chance. But
Yeah.
oh, well, I do have Raiders defense, who I held for 3 weeks for this matchup. They're playing the Jets. So hey, maybe, man, maybe.
So here's a stat for you. Here's a funny little peculiar stat about this matchup. We're talking about Justin versus Roth. So the manager in our league that has the most moves made all year is Roth with a whopping 75 moves. The person that is next is, guess who? Justin. We have our most moves people in the league facing off, and wow, a meaningless stat, but that just puts it in perspective. Roth with the most moves at 75. Justin with 49 are the next most moves. So something's got to give, man.
I think I'm going to lead in the moves, or I'll be top 3 in moves probably every single season, since I can't draft for dick. So that's just the way it is. That's fine. All right, we'll keep.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, well let's keep going to the next 3 games are huge. These are really big games. They're all battling for the 6th seed. Each one of these games, it's someone battling for it versus somebody that the game doesn't really matter. So unfortunately, I was kind of hoping there'd be some heads up battles here, but it's really just kind of split out a little bit. The first one is TJ versus Adams, which we talked about. TJ, you control your own destiny, man. If you win, you are in. You are in the playoffs, I think, for the 2nd year in a row. So you could also be the 4 or the 5 seed if Roth or Sed lose. So you're right there, but you could also miss it. If TJ loses, he can still get in with a Mason and a Danny loss. So if you guys both lose, he can get in based on the points. But yeah, there's a lot going on here between Mason, Danny, and TJ, because they're all really close in record and points especially. So yeah, that's a big game. Win and you're in, TJ.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be I honestly think that's going to be our most competitive matchup of the week. And obviously the stakes are pretty high for TJ and everything. So
I just don't. Right. I don't know. You're playing Taysom Hill. I just don't. Dude, I don't know. Got that guy in there, and that's your quarterback. I mean, I get he might be the best available, but I just don't see him outperforming Rodgers to give you a chance. Because for position by position, they're pretty even. When it comes for look at the projections, but I mean, he's got Cook in there at tight end, and that guy's not going to do shit. So
yeah, he's got the Hill-Cook connection.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What did that do last week? Nothing. So, I mean, it's like we'd be talking differently if he had Andrews and Connor and Lamar Jackson back.
Yep.
You know, and he's not even playing Akers, and Akers is going. You know, he's been going off the past couple of weeks, getting more opportunities and carries. I mean, you drafted the guy. Why aren't you playing him? You know, it's like he's held on to him for this long. You know, but I guess when you have McKissick and Elliott, two guys who get a lot of volume, it makes sense. But
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Lamar could potentially come back. So this lineup could change a lot. I mean, they don't play till Tuesday though, so he's going to have to make some tough decisions. Probably Andrews as well. So he's gotten rocked here with the COVID stuff for the Steelers and Ravens. For Steve. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, Hill had a good game against the Falcons last time. I mean, he is playing Atlanta again, so he might be all right. But yeah, we'll see. That should be a good game.
Yeah.
All right.
Metcalf,
so the next
Metcalf is not going off. You heard it here first.
You heard it here on the podcast, folks.
Yeah.
If you watch this far into it, use this against us. We welcome it. We welcome it. And thank you for staying with us. We appreciate it. We have 2 games left on here. Mason and RJ is the next one we're going to talk about. You know, obviously this is, you know, an undefeated team versus a guy who's been scrapping all year. Mason, you need some things to go your way to get to the playoffs. But the number one thing here to talk about for me is Hunt. Mason, you traded RJ Hunt. And you got Rojo not playing at all on the bye week. And you gave Hunt to your opponent. And we've seen how that has gone so far the past couple of weeks, sir. You are rolling the dice here. And if Hunt goes off, the chat is going to go off. And I know JP will be the first person to start chirping. So good luck, sir.
Yeah, well, you know, Rojo got me what I needed to be able to get in this position this week. So, you know, that was the plan. And Hunt only had 6 points. So I did on that one. You know, no one's talking about that. But, you know, I think Hunt, you know, he's a coin flip, man. I mean, he depends. You know, Tennessee defense is pretty decent. You know, it just, you never know who they're going to play, you know, in the red zone. One series it's Hunt, one series it's Chubb. You know, and then, you know, they have to get in the end zone, obviously. So, you know, I watched a couple games last week and Hunt got opportunities, but he just couldn't get in, you know. So he's going to have the chances and stuff. And I don't even have a wide receiver or a running back in there. I have a bunch of waiver wires in, hoping to get some players. So, but Jonnu's going to go off. We forgot about that, you know. He's playing against RJ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, RJ had him, you know, and he's got a good matchup against Cleveland, man. So, you know, I think Jonnu might play well. I put Henderson in there just to get my projections higher, so it looks like I have a chance, but that guy's not going to play. So, you know.
Yes, the classic scare tactic. Put in your highest projected guys to instill the fear in your opponents. Classic.
Yeah. It works every time.
So scared.
So RJ doesn't need this game, so it doesn't even matter for him.
Well, let me ask
Julio.
you, Mace.
I need Julio not to play for me to have a chance.
You know, I mean, half my starters are questionable right now. So, you know, this. Go ahead, Justin. What were you going to say?
Let me ask you, Mace, if you lose this matchup because Kareem Hunt is on that side and not yours, and you could have made the playoffs with a win, how are you going to take it?
I'm going to have a red ass.
Great answer. We're going to hear about it all season. Oh, my God. You better hope Hunt doesn't go off. Because if he does, and it could have been the difference, man. Woo.
I just need Hunt to fumble the ball like 4 times, negative points, you know, negative rushing yards, and I'll be all right.
You have got to be a huge Chubb fan now.
What needs to happen is the Browns need to get down early, and then the Cleveland's just got to throw the ball. But then that hurts because they'll put Hunt in over Chubb because he's a better back out of the backfield.
Yeah.
So you're screwed either way in this situation.
The thing I'll say from this standpoint for me, I mean, you know, a win or loss doesn't mean much, you know, standing wise and, you know, heading into the playoffs. But I mean, this is the game that I got to win to ensure the perfect regular season. And I mean, for as long as I've been playing fantasy football, I don't think that's ever happened at all. So, I mean, I am, if you can think the number one seed that has locked up the bye is quitting, I am playing to win the game. So Mason, I am sorry that you're in this predicament, but I got to take care of business this week, man. I'm sorry to ruin our first guest on the podcast day, but I hope you lose, sir.
Well, I'm probably going to. So when you have every single guy in your roster with double digit projections, it's a definite L for me.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Mace. Just hope it's not because of Kareem Hunt, man. Just that's what you gotta hope
It's
for.
going to be Julio. Julio's going to come back and go off.
Yeah, we'll see. They're playing the
unforgettable.
Saints. They're playing the Saints,
Yeah.
man. The Saints defense is pretty good. So you got a good matchup there. We'll see.
Yeah.
And once
Yep.
Watkins pulls his hammy in the first quarter, I'll be golden. So it doesn't matter.
All right. Last game of the week, Danny and Billy. Danny, you can make the playoffs still. You need TJ to lose. You also need to keep that 24-point edge you have on him. You also need Mason to lose and pass the 1-point lead he has on you. So that's interesting. Mason literally has a 1-point lead on Danny with the same record. You guys are like the same exact team. So a lot happening there.
Yeah.
A lot could, anybody could make it. TJ's in the driver's seat. He has to win, and that's it. If he wins, it's over. So you guys both need Steve to win. I know it hurts to say that. It hurts for, to have to do it, but you guys need Steve to win. And Billy, man, you're done. Put up a good fight here, and that's all the games for next week. And then we hit the playoffs. So I will say that after this week, once the regular season's over, I do want to have a kind of a breakdown of how the teams did this year, kind of give a recap, strengths and weaknesses, some of the matchups we had this season. But yeah, it's coming down to the wire. It's hard to believe it's ending.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend and having the next 2 weeks off and just watch you guys just deal with the shit. So have fun.
Just one thing though that I think is interesting is I'm only a point ahead of him, and he's got Mahomes, who is a human highlight reel. So
Yeah.
the fact that's what I'm saying. Like when you take away one guy from a team that literally gets all the points for the team, it's a huge hit to teams. I mean, I played Danny when Mahomes was on a bye, and neither of us scored over 100 points. It was insane.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I just had any production at all, I would have beaten him because he was so heavy reliant on Mahomes. So, but that's what you get when you draft him and you get to keep him in like the 10th round or whatever he kept him in. He did on that. So.
Yeah.
But if Josh Jacobs is out this week, I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one for Danny. I don't know who else he has. He has Taylor from the Colts. He should be all right. I mean, we just need Steve to win, and then I have to get lucky and win. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Danny's got a better shot at making it than I do when all said and done.
Yeah,
If
I think
I have
based
to
on the
face
opponent, that's
Danny
true.
again in the playoffs, I am going to have a red ass. I can tell you that much. Jeez, that guy is my nemesis. Oh,
Yeah, well, he doesn't have Kittle anymore, man. That was a huge blow to him. So he's definitely
it's a mental thing. It's a mental thing. It doesn't even matter.
I'd tell you what, though, we could have the Mahomes and the Lamar teams that kept them late, not in the playoffs. So
I know.
That just goes to show everybody that anything can happen. People are like, oh, I'm so screwed. How am I ever going to do this? You know what? Look at that shit. Those guys were on the pedestal when the year started. They're unstoppable. You know what? Both those teams might not even get in. Anything can happen, baby. That's why we play the game.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Any final
Agreed.
words from you guys? Because that sure as hell was mine.
No, I can't wait for the next podcast, because next podcast, the playoffs will be set and it should be fine and dandy. I cannot wait for this week to be over, and I can't wait for the next podcast.
Yeah, and we could use another guest as well. Mason, thank you for joining, but we are open to guests. So, and we can have more than one. It doesn't have to just be 3. So, Mason,
We
closing
could do
remarks.
a 12-man podcast.
That would be awesome.
Maybe we'll do that season recap at the end of the year.
It's very ambitious, but I like it. Very ambitious.
But
right,
good
guys.
luck. Good luck to everybody. I'll
Yeah.
look for me in the chat to be firing you up, and I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good, guys. I'll see you next week.
That's what we expect. All right, we'll see you.